Are you kidding me? So exciting. Okay. This is too good. This is just too much. I never thought I'd get a chance to say things like this in my lifetime.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Lost in space.
I'm gonna apologize up front if I'm a little giddy during this entire video, but as a sci-fi fan, this is fantasy turning into reality. Okay, enough talk. Let me give you the headline. Colonel Nick Hague, a Space Force Guardian, is linking up with Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov and hitching a ride on SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft to rescue the Starliner crew that has been stranded in space since June. If this isn't real-life Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know what is. Not to mention, I had no idea they called Space Force soldiers Guardians. But is that not the coolest thing ever? I mean, ever since Trump waddled out and announced the inauguration of Space Force, I have been praying for a moment like this.
We must have American dominance in space. So important. To establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement.
But let's rewind a bit so we can understand just how all this happened and what exactly is going on. Back on June 5th, Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore left Earth aboard Boeing's Starliner to link up with the ISS. The plan was simple enough. They were testing the Starliner in real-world environments with astronauts on board to make sure it met NASA's safety and performance standards. It failed.
This is a huge rocket. This is a big, complex machine, and there's so many ways that things can go wrong. And if you look at the development, right, things have gone wrong.
Barry Wilmore, so Butch Wilmore, that's what we call him. He's the commander on this flight, longtime veteran of the space industry, of NASA. He already has spent 178 days in space, so they know space. Sunny Williams has actually spent more time in space than him, 322 days on the International Space Station. She is the pilot on board, and again, she is now making history as the first female to actually be on a test flight for an orbital spacecraft.
Little bit of foreshadowing here, but the Starliner has been plagued with all types of problems, including helium leaks and broken thrusters, and those things occurred during Sunita and Barry's launch. Now, their mission was planned for just 8 days, but it was unsafe to take the Starliner back to Earth, so NASA and Boeing began troubleshooting, trying to figure out how they could fix the Starliner and allow the astronauts to return home on it. Mind you, the Starliner is made by Boeing, the same company that had doors flying off its commercial airliners. Personally, I think it's a miracle they made it up there on that thing. So after months of troubleshooting, they realize they can't fix it. So they decide that the Starliner will come back on its own, making an automatic descent. And the two-man crew will just hang out in the International Space Station and, I don't know, get some work done. Now, for even more intrigue in this space thriller, Boeing and SpaceX both have billion-dollar contracts with NASA to transport their astronauts. Boeing has a $4.2 billion contract. SpaceX has a $2.6 billion contract. Now, this mission in particular was supposed to be all Boeing, but due to the failure to launch, get it? You know, failure to launch, it's like a double entendre, something like that. Anyway, they needed some help. Our closest thing to Tony Stark, Elon Musk, said, hop on my Dragon and I'll give you a ride back home. NASA, being all proud, was like, maybe not. But as they continued trying to figure out other routes to get the astronauts home, Elon was like, yo, you taking these seats or what? And NASA was like,
I'm getting that for sure.
Then they assembled the Space Force.
Some people look to the stars and ask, what if? Our job is to have an answer. Maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
So I almost forgot. Also, while the crew is sitting at the International Space Station with this Boeing Starliner docked to it, they start hearing some very strange banging noise coming from the Starliner. Now, no one is aboard the Starliner, and this noise that they're hearing has them so concerned that they end up calling Mission Control to report it. Now, of course, NASA comes up with some very non-threatening reason for why they are hearing this banging noise.
There are ominous sounds in outer space. Listen for yourself. That is the noise that astronauts heard coming from inside the troubled Boeing Starliner that's docked at the International Space Station.
Astronaut Butch Wilmore radioed mission control so that they could hear it, and now NASA says the pulsating sound has stopped.
I mean, this is one where you kind of have to give the conspiracy theorists a little nod and be like, I mean, it did sound kind of spooky, like a spooky alien submarine or something coming for the space station. NASA says they have found the problem, and it's not all that exciting. Not as exciting as an alien submarine. They say the feedback from the speaker was the result of an audio configuration. Between the space station and Starliner, the space station audio system is complex, allowing multiple spacecraft and modules to be interconnected, and it is common to experience noise and feedbacks.
This is starting to sound like a space horror movie. So Starliner is docked with the ISS. It is going to return back to Earth pretty soon with no crew. So we're about to send this weird ship that got broke on the way up to space and has this weird banging noise coming from it. We're about to send it back to us, and whatever's on it is going to be coming too. This is like a movie. So how can you not be excited? This is space thriller at its peak. I mean, it could spell the end of the human civilization, but as far as the narrative and the story goes, it is top tier. I'm excited about it. You should be excited about it. Hopefully we don't all die, but it sounds interesting at a minimum. Colonel Nick Hague, Space Force Guardian. Guardian, the coolest title in any military service. I mean, he's literally a guardian of the galaxy, a man of purpose, of ironclad resolution, a hero with nerves of steel and stardust in his lungs, along with his second in command, cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, an ice titan, birthed from the frozen tundra of Mother Russia herself. Together, this international duo of superheroes are borrowing a dragon from Elon Musk to do the incredible. Sunita and Barry, just hold on a little bit longer. Your heroes are on the way. But for real, they're probably going to be fine. Apparently, astronauts get left up there all the time. This is pretty routine. They're expected to launch by September 24th. So in a few short weeks, this routine mission will be underway. It still sounds cool. I mean, what a wonderful world we live in, where this is so common that it's not even on the news. Now, I'm gonna lie down and take a nap now. This is just too much for me. Godspeed to the crew, and in the words of Buzz Lightyear,
to infinity and beyond!